Gauranga Gandharvika Giridhari Shri Shri Radha Vinod Bihari Ju Ki Jai Shri Govinda Gopinath Maran Mohan Ju Ki Jai Nityal Pravishta Vishnupad Ashutarashata Shishimar Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Shri Gurudev Ki Jai Nityal Pravishta Vishnupad Ashutarashata Shishimar Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai Nitil Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashatarashata Shishimar Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Nitil Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashatarashata Shishimar Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai Nitil Pravishta Mahabhagavat Srila Goraksharas Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai Nitil Pravishta Srila Satchid Ananda Bhakti Vinod Ṭhākura Ki Jai Nitil Pravishta Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai Shri Rupanuga Gauriya Guru Varga Ki Jai Shri Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jeev Gopal Bhatta Das Raghunath Sharda Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai Shri Sarup Damodar Rai Ramanandari Shri Gaur Parshad Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Ṭhākura Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Kshetra Mandal Koramandal Vrajamandal Mathura Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Sarva Abhishta Pradata Giriraj Maharaj Ki Jai Shri Radha Kunda Shama Kunda Ki Jai Shri Yamuna Devi Ganga Devi Ki Jai Shri Tulsi Maharani Vrinda Devi Ki Jai Shri Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Shri Purnamasi Yoga Maya Ki Jai Shri Gopeshwar Mahadev Ki Jai Grantaraj Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam Ki Jai Śrīla Viśvanātha Cakravartī Ṭhākura Ki Jai Sārārtha-darśinī Vritti Ki Jai Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Shri Śrīmad Bhakti Vedanta Narayaniti Namine Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Cha Patitanang Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvishe Namaha Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tarbhaktaya Namo Namaha Yang pravrajantam anupetam apetan krityam dvaipayano viraha katara ajuhava putreti tanmayataya taravo bhinedustang sarva bhuta hridayang munimanatosmi narayanam namaskritya narang chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet Shrinvatang Svakatha Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Hridantasto Yabhadrani Vidhunoti Suhrit Satam Nashta Prayesh Babadreshu Nityang Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatyuttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki Tavai vasmi na jivami tvaya vina iti vigyaya radhe tvang nayamang charanantikam bhaktya vihina aparada lakshai Shiptashtakamaditaranga-madhe Kripamai tvam sharanam prapana Vrinde namaste charanarvindam Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hari Bol, everybody. So we are continuing with Lord Brahma's prayers. We read up to verse 22 yesterday, and now today. Oh, and just little disclaimer. This is a pre-recorded video. Right now I'm recording at, what time is it? It's at 5:35 p.m. right now instead of 7:30 a.m. like I usually do, because my internet connection's been so unreliable lately, and I'm just sick and tired of all the whatever. But in about 9 days from now, or 8 days, I can't remember, I'm going to be in Vrindavan, and I will have a better internet connection, and I'll be able to go live again at the normal time. But Dandavat pranams to all of you who are participating. I'm afraid to say your names because I don't want to accidentally leave somebody out. But I'll just, don't feel offended if I miss your name. But Dandavat pranams, Indira Mataji, Raseshwari Mataji, Madhavi Didi, Pradyumna Prabhu, Mantramurti Mataji, Gargaraji, Ganga Didi, and Yashoda Didi, and then there's others that don't come every time but come very often, like Nari Hari Prabhu, Bhavatarani Mataji, and Dandavat pranams to everybody. Thank you for joining. All right, so let's, I'm going to just read, okay, let's say the very common verses. We'll repeat the common verses, but otherwise, I'm just going to read the translations of the previous verses that we read yesterday. But this is a very famous verse. This is one of the main, like one of the first of the three main verses describing Krishna's beautiful form in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. So, Shri Brahmo Vacha No Mirdyate Bravapushe Tadirambaraya Kunjavatangsa Paripichala Mukhaya Vanyasraje Kavala Vetra Vishana Venu Lakshma Shriye Mridupade Pashupanga Jaya. Lord Brahma said, My dear Lord, you are the only worshipable Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and therefore I offer my humble obeisances and prayers just to please you. O son of the king of the cowherds, your transcendental body is dark blue like a new cloud. Your garment is brilliant like lightning, and the beauty of your face is enhanced by your gunja earrings and the peacock feather on your head. Wearing garlands of various forest flowers and leaves, and equipped with a herding stick, a buffalo horn, and a flute, you stand beautifully with a morsel of food in your hand. Verse 2. My dear Lord, neither I nor anyone else can estimate the potency of this transcendental body of yours, which has shown such mercy to me and which appears just to fulfill the desires of your pure devotees. Although my mind is completely withdrawn from material affairs, I cannot understand your personal form. How then could I possibly understand the happiness you experience within yourself? This is a very famous verse. We'll say it together. Jnane prayasam udapasya namantameva jivanti sanmukharitang bhavadhiya vartam Stane stita shruti gatang tanuvang manobhir ye prayasho jita jito pyasita istrilokyam. Those who, even while remaining situated in their established social positions, throw away the process of speculative knowledge and with their body, words, and mind offer all respects to descriptions of your personality and activities, dedicating their lives to these narrations, which are vibrated by you personally and by your pure devotees. These persons certainly conquer your lordship, although you are otherwise unconquerable by anyone within the three worlds. Verse 4, this is also a very famous verse. Shreya sritim bhaktim udasyate vibho kleshyanti ye kevala bodhalabdaye te shamaso kleshala eva shishyate nanyadhyatastula tushavaghatinam. My dear Lord, devotional service unto you is the best path for self-realization. If someone gives up that path and engages in the cultivation of speculative knowledge, he will simply undergo a troublesome process and will not achieve his desired result. As a person who beats an empty husk of wheat cannot get grain, one who simply speculates cannot achieve self-realization. His only gain is trouble. Verse 5. O Almighty Lord, in the past, many yogis in this world achieved the platform of devotional service by offering all their endeavors unto you and faithfully carrying out their prescribed duties. Through such devotional service, perfected by the process of hearing and chanting about you, they came to understand you, O Infallible One, and could easily surrender to you and achieve your supreme abode. Verse 6. Non-devotees, however, cannot realize you in your full personal feature. Nevertheless, it may be possible for them to realize your expansion as the impersonal supreme by cultivating direct perception of the self within the heart. But they can do this only by purifying their mind and senses of all conceptions of material distinctions and all attachments to material sense objects. Only in this way will your impersonal feature manifest itself to them. Verse 7. In time, learned philosophers or scientists might be able to count all the atoms of the earth, the particles of snow, or perhaps even the shining molecules radiating from the sun, the stars and other luminaries. But among these learned men, who could possibly count the unlimited transcendental qualities possessed by you, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who have descended onto the surface of the earth for the benefit of all living entities? This is a very famous verse. We'll recite this together. Tatenukampam susamikshamano bhunjana evatma kritam vipakam hridvagvapurbhir vidadhan namaste jivetayo mukti pade sadai bhak. My dear Lord, one who earnestly waits for you to bestow your causeless mercy upon him, all the while patiently suffering the reactions of his past misdeeds and offering you respectful obeisances with his heart, words, and body, is surely eligible for liberation, for it has become his rightful claim. Pashe shamenaram anantamadye Paratmani tvayapi mayini. Oh, so I'm not reading all the verses, sorry. I'll just finish it since I started it. Mayam vitatyekshitam vaibhavam yaham kiyan aicham ivarchiragno. My Lord, just see my uncivilized impudence. To test your power, I tried to extend my illusory potency to cover you, the unlimited and primeval supersoul, who bewilder even the masters of illusion. What am I compared to you? I am just like a small spark in the presence of a great fire. Verse 10. Therefore, O infallible Lord, kindly excuse my offenses. I have taken birth in the mode of passion, and am therefore simply foolish, presuming myself a controller independent of your lordship. My eyes are blinded by the darkness of ignorance, which causes me to think of myself as the unborn creator of the universe. But please consider that I am your servant and therefore worthy of your compassion. Verse 11. What am I, a small creature measuring 7 spans of my own hand? I am enclosed in a pot-like universe composed of material nature, the total material energy, false ego, ether, air, water, and earth. And what is your glory? Unlimited universes pass through the pores of your body just as particles of dust pass through the openings of a screened window. Verse 12. O Lord Adhoksaj, does a mother take offense when the child within her womb kicks with his legs? And is there anything in existence, whether designated by various philosophers as real or as unreal, that is actually outside your abdomen? Verse 13. My dear Lord, it is said that when the 3 planetary systems are merged into the water at the time of dissolution, your plenary portion, Narayan, lies down on the water and gradually a lotus flower grows from his navel, and Brahma takes birth upon that lotus flower. Certainly, these words are not false. Thus, am I not born from you? Verse 14. Are you not the original Narayan, O Supreme Controller, since you are the soul of every embodied being and the eternal witness of all created realms? Indeed, Lord Narayan is your expansion, and he is called Narayan because he is the generating source of the primeval water of the universe. He is real, not a product of your illusory Maya. Verse 15, my dear Lord, if your transcendental body, which shelters the entire universe, is actually lying upon the water, then why were you not seen by me when I searched for you? And why, though I could not envision you properly within my heart, did you then suddenly reveal yourself? Verse 16. My dear Lord, in this incarnation, you have proved that you are the supreme controller of Maya. Although you are now within this universe, the whole universal creation is within your transcendental body, a fact you demonstrated by exhibiting the universe within your abdomen before your mother, Yashoda. Verse 17. Just as this entire universe, including you, was exhibited within your abdomen, so it is now manifested here externally in the exact same form. How could such things happen unless arranged by your inconceivable energy? Verse 18. Have you not shown me today that both you yourself and everything within this creation are manifestations of your inconceivable potency? First you appeared alone, and then you manifested yourself as all of Vrindavan's calves and cowherd boys, your friends. Next, you appeared as an equal number of 4-handed Vishnu forms, who are worshipped by all living beings, including me. And after that, you appeared as an equal number of complete universes. Finally, you have now returned to your unlimited form as a supreme absolute truth, one without a second. Verse 19. To persons ignorant of your actual transcendental position, you appear as part of the material world, manifesting yourself by the expansion of your inconceivable energy. Thus, for the creation of the universe, you appear as me, Brahma. For its maintenance, you appear as yourself, Vishnu. And for its annihilation, you appear as Lord Trinetra, Shiva. Verse 20. O Lord, O Supreme Creator and Master, you have no material birth, yet to defeat the false pride of the faithless demons and show mercy to your saintly devotees, you take birth among the demigods, sages, human beings, animals, and even the aquatics. Verse 21. O Supreme Great One, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, O Supersoul, Master of all mystic power, your pastimes are taking place continuously in these 3 worlds, but who can estimate where, how, and when you are employing your spiritual energy and performing these innumerable pastimes? No one can understand the mystery of how your spiritual energy acts. And this is the verse that we ended with yesterday. Verse 22. Therefore, this entire universe, which like a dream is by nature unreal, nevertheless appears real, and thus it covers one's consciousness and assails one with repeated miseries. I had a hard time reading this yesterday also. I read it 3 times anyways. This universe appears real because it is manifested by the potency of illusion emanating from you, whose unlimited transcendental forms are full of eternal happiness and knowledge. So now we come to today's verse. But actually, I all of a sudden have to use the bathroom, and then I'm going to go for kirtan. So one cool thing about not doing it live is that I can stop now, go for kirtan. I'm going to go for Padma Maharaj's class about Srila Bhakti Rakshak Goswami Maharaj, and then I will come back to record the rest of this. All right. So I'll appear in a second now. Haribol. Actually, I'm going to record for another 20 minutes now and then 20 minutes after Padma Maharaj's class. So okay, I'm sharing my screen again. There. Ekastvatma purusha purana satya swayam jyotir ananta adhya nityoksharo jasra sukho niranjana Purnadvayo mukta upadhito mrita. Translation. You are the one supreme soul, the primeval supreme personality, the absolute truth, self-manifested, endless and beginningless. You are eternal and infallible, perfect and complete, without any rival and free from all material designations. Your happiness can never be obstructed, nor have you any connection with material contamination. Indeed, you are the indestructible nectar of immortality. 24. Now we have to read the commentary. So commentary, Sārārtha-darśinī commentary by Śrīla Viśvanātha Cakravartī Ṭhākura. Brahma prayed, although you do have infinite forms, you are also present in one transcendental form by your inconceivable energy. You are the one supreme soul, Eka Atma, and as the same, you expand yourself as the super soul to enter every living being. Wait, that doesn't make sense. You are the one supreme soul, and at the same time, maybe there's supposed to be time there, and at the same time you expand yourself as a super soul to enter every living being. Sorry about that. Here, Krishna may protest, but the super soul has no form. He is not a person. After all, the word person generally refers to a being that has a form. You say, I am a person. Am I a young person? Brahma replies, no, you are the oldest. Again, Krishna protests. I am the son of Nanda Baba, and I am a young boy of Vraj. It is not right to say that I am the oldest. Brahma. It is true that you are the son of Nanda, but it is also true that you exist eternally in all 3 phases of time. Therefore, you are the oldest person. Krishna. The Supreme Person, Purush, you describe, is the creator of time, karma, and everything else. How is it possible that I am He? Brahma. Please do not argue. You are self-effulgent. Krishna. Am I like the sun, limited with a certain area of space? Brahma. No, you are limitless, not restricted by time and space. Your other avatars are also the same. Krishna. The Supreme has many incarnations, so am I just one of them? Brahma. You are the source of all avatars, the root of all incarnations. Krishna. In the next lifetime of Brahma, will I again incarnate in this form? Brahma. No, you are Nitya, eternal. Although the universe is ancient, real, and eternal, at the end of my lifetime, it is no longer manifested in the same form. Because it will disappear, therefore it is anitya, temporary. On the other hand, you will remain eternally in this form as the son of Nanda. Therefore, your form is eternal and unchanging because you are the original Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Vedic literatures confirm this by saying, Yo so Sorye Tishtati. Lord Krishna is the same Supreme Personality of Godhead who formerly appeared in the Surya Vangsha as Lord Ram. The Gopal Tapani Upanishad states, Ya Shakshat Parabrahmeti Govindam Sachidananda Vigraham Vrindavana Sura Bhuruha Talasinam. Lord Krishna, whose form is eternal and full of knowledge and bliss, and who sits under a kalpa vriksha tree in Vrindavan forest, is the original Supreme Personality of Godhead. You yourself affirm in the Bhagavad Gita 14:27, Brahmano hi pratishtaham. I am the basis of the impersonal Brahman. Krishna. But those who have bodies are subject to the 6 transformations and are therefore Those who have bodies are subject to the 6 transformations and are therefore disintegrating at every moment. How is it possible that I am like that? Brahma. No, you are not like that. You are unchanging and indestructible. Akshara. Krishna. Those who have bodies are also subject to happiness and distress. Brahma. You are always full of bliss. Krishna. But as a child, I was greedy to drink my mother's breast milk and steal the gopis' butter and yogurt. As a boy, I showed anger toward Kaliya and a host of others. In my teenager years, I was lusty to enjoy with the gopis. Therefore, I am impure and contaminated by lust and a host of other vices. Brahma. That is not true. You are spotless. Your so-called lust and other qualities are all pure and spiritual. Krishna. Still, I am dependent on the gopis and many others. Because I need them, therefore I am not perfect and complete. Brahma. You are perfect and complete, Purna. Your being controlled by the prema of your devotees does not negate your perfection and completeness. Krishna. Is there someone else like me? Brahma. No one else is like you. You are beyond compare. Krishna. Very well then, because there is no one else like me, I am therefore the original Supreme Personality of Godhead. Still, many people think that I am simply a transformation of transcendental knowledge. Brahma. You are not a transformation of transcendental knowledge. The Gopal Tapani Upanishad 2:24 states, Vidya vidyabhyam bhinna. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is beyond both knowledge and ignorance. This is so because you are beyond all limiting designations. In the Shruti Shastra, it is said, Amritam Shashvatam Brahma. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is eternal. He is far beyond any limiting designation. In this passage, that's Brahma's finished speaking. Brahma's finished speaking now. It's Viśvanātha Chakravartī. In this passage, the word Amrita may also be interpreted to mean he who never dies. Okay, verse 24. Evang vidang tam sakalatmanam api swatmanam atmat. God, that's a difficult one. Let me try it again. Swatmanam atmat Mataya vichakshate Gurvarkalabdho panishat suchakshusha Ye tarananti va bhavanritam buddhim. Those who have received the clear vision of knowledge from the sun-like spiritual master can see you in this way as the very soul of all souls, the supersoul of everyone's own self. Thus, understanding your original personality, they are able to cross over the ocean of illusory material existence. Commentary. The gist of this verse is, even the worshippers of your feature as the impersonal Brahman can, if they get the good fortune of devotion to your personal form as Paramatma, develop faith in you and attain the status of Shanta Bhaktas, devotees in the rasa of neutrality or passive adoration. Brahma prayed, With devotion, they see Krishna as the Supersoul, who has a charming, handsome, personal form that delights the eyes, mind, and heart. They realize that Krishna has all the qualities described in the previous verses and that he is the Supersoul present in all living entities. This is also described in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Paramatmataya Krishne Jatta Shanti Ratir Mata. By understanding that Sri Krishna is the Supersoul, one attains the neutral stage of devotional service, Shantarati. The question may be asked, how does this take place? Brahma answers, the spiritual master is like the sun. By studying the Upanishads under him and obtaining his mercy, one attains the proper vision to see Krishna as Paramatma and the knowledge to cross over the ocean of illusions known as material existence. So one attains proper vision to see Krishna as Paramatma, and he also attains the knowledge to cross over the ocean of illusions, of material existence. Oh, is the kirtan in the background distracting? Well, anyways, I'm not going to be reading for long, so you just tolerate it for another 10 minutes. Okay. Verse 25. Let's read it on here, because this is all divided strangely. Atmanamevatmataya vijanatam tenaeva jatam nikhilam prapanchitam jnanena bhuyopi chatat praliyate rajvan ahir bhoga bhavoyata. A person who mistakes a rope for a snake becomes fearful. But he then gives up his fear upon realizing that the so-called snake does not exist. Similarly, for those who fail to recognize you as the supreme soul of all souls, the expansive illusory material existence arises, but knowledge of you at once causes it to subside. Commentary. Do they cross the ocean of Maya or not? Why do you say as if, Eva, they transcend it? Why do you say as if they transcend it? Why did the previous verse say that the material world is false or unreal? Anritta. Verses 24 to 25 describe that the Vivartavad theory of the impersonalists who claim that the material world is unreal and the act of transcending the material world is also unreal or false. Wait, that's not a complete sentence. Anyways, let's just say, verses 24 describe the Vivartavad theory of the impersonalists. Oh, it is a full sentence. Sorry, guys. It describes the Vivartavad of the impersonalists who claim that the material world is unreal and that the act of transcending the material world is also unreal or false. That is why the word as if is sarcastically used here in describing the act of transcending the material world. Those who are, let's see. I can't see the word as if in the, anyways. Those who are unaware that the individual spirit soul is full of knowledge and bliss must enter the material realm. It is because of ignorance that no one can understand the true nature of the soul, and because of ignorance, the material world of 5 elements was created. The word praliyate, disappears, implies that by Sankhya, yoga, renunciation, austerity, and devotion, bhakti, one attains transcendental wisdom, realizes that the body is different from the soul, and destroys the ocean of material existence. Such a person no longer mistakes a rope for a snake, and with this understanding, he is liberated from fear. By ignorance, the material world continues, and by knowing Krishna, the material world ceases. Verse 26. Ajnana samgyo bhavabandha moksho dvau namananyo staritagya bhavat ajasra chittatmani kevale pare vicharyamane taranav ivahani. The conception of material bondage and the conception of liberation are both manifestations of ignorance. Being outside the scope of true knowledge, they cease to exist when one correctly understands that the pure spirit soul is distinct from matter and always fully conscious. At that time, bondage and liberation no longer have any significance, just as day and night have no significance from the perspective of the sun. I don't know who's calling me. Anyways. Commentary. This verse states that the ideas of material bondage and liberation are both illusions. When one is situated in transcendental knowledge, one knows that they are not different from each other. When one understands that he is a pure spirit soul, different from the external material body, then he is no longer bewildered by the illusion of material bondage and liberation. As day and night do not exist on the sun, material bondage and liberation do not exist when one understands the spiritual truth. Verse 27. Tam atmanam parang matva param atmanameva cha atma punar bahir mrigya ahogya janata gyata. Just see the foolishness of those ignorant persons who consider you to be some separated manifestation of illusion and who consider the self, which is actually you, to be something else, the material body. Such fools conclude that the Supreme Soul is to be searched for somewhere outside your Supreme Personality. Just see the foolishness of those ignorant persons who consider you to be some separated manifestation of illusion and consider the self, which is actually you, to be something else, the material body. They consider it to be the material body. Such fools conclude that the Supreme Soul is to be such. Okay. Verse 27. Commentary. Brahma prayed, "Those who think that they are knowledgeable of spiritual things, but are actually not, do not respect your transcendental form and Vraj. As previously mentioned, such persons are simply beating empty husks. They think your supreme spiritual body is material. They think that your supreme spiritual body is material, another manifestation of illusion. They consider the self, which is actually you, to be something material. Thus, they search for that supreme soul elsewhere. Just see the ignorance of these foolish people. The Vivartavadis, the evolutionists, and the Parinamavadis, the transformationists, debate about the material world instead of the perfect Lord. The form of this Chit Brahman is described in several verses of the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. I don't totally get this. Vivartavadis and the Parinamavadis debate about the material world instead of the perfect Lord. Anyways, whatever. The form of this Chit Brahman is described in several verses of the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Shabda Brahmatmanastasya. Brahma is the personal representation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead as the source of transcendental sound, and is therefore above the conception of manifested and unmanifested. That's Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 3:12-48. Yatar vapur bhati vibhushanayudar avyakta chirvyaktam adharayadhari babhuva naiva savamano vatu sampashyator divya gatir yatanata. The Lord appeared in his original form with ornaments and weapons in his hands. Although this ever-existing form is not visible in the material world, he nonetheless appeared in this form. Then, in the presence of his father and mother, he assumes the form of Vaman, just like a theatrical actor. Satya Gyanantananda Matraika Rasamurtaya. The Vishnumurtis manifested by the Gopa named Krishna all had eternal, unlimited forms full of knowledge and bliss and existing beyond the influence of time. That's from the previous chapter, verse 54. Gopal Tapani Upanishad says, Ya Shakshat Parabrahmeti Govindam Sachidananda Vigraham Vrindavana Sura Buruha Talasinam. I recognize this verse. We've gone over this verse a couple times, I think. The Absolute Truth himself is Govinda, who has an eternal form of bliss and knowledge, and who is sitting beneath the shady desire trees of Vrindavan. The Gopal Tapani Upanishad 2:36 states, Tasam Madhe Shakshar Brahma Gopala Puri. Among all these abodes, the resident of Lord Gopala is directly the Absolute Truth. Brahma prayed, ignoring these scriptural statements that show Brahman has a body that exists in a ignoring these scriptural statements that show Brahman has a body and exists in a spiritual abode, Dham, people remain in darkness. They are so fallen that they accept a blind guru parampara and discuss Vivartavad. They are in the most lamentable of all lamentable conditions in my creation. Wow. Of all the people in creation, these people, these Mayavadis, they're in the most lamentable of all lamentable conditions in the whole creation, my God. Another reading of Agya Janata, ignorant people, is Gya Janata. In this case, it could be translated, what foolishness of so-called learned men. All right, so now I'm going to go for Kirtan and Padmanabha Maharaj's class, and then I will come back to read the rest. Hari Bol. Okay, I'm back. It's 9 p.m. now. Padmanabha Maharaj just gave the most amazing glorification of Srila Bhakti-Rakshak Srila Gosai Maharaj today on his disappearance day. All right, so let me share my screen now. I'll read for another 20 minutes, I think, right? Yeah. Antarbhaven anta bhavantameva yatatyajanto mrigayanti santa asantam apyantahim antarena santang gunang tang kim uyanti santaha. O unlimited Lord, the saintly devotees seek you out within their own bodies by rejecting everything separate from you. Indeed, how can discriminating persons appreciate the real nature of a rope lying before them until they refute the illusion that it is a snake? Commentary. Brahma prayed, the Gyanis think that your form is an attribute of Maya. Your saintly devotees, however, seek out the pure form of the living entity, the jiva, free from the covering of Maya. By rejecting that which is material, not spiritual, they seek out the jiva which takes birth among countless species and various bodies. To reject everything material, one must first reject the false conception that I am the material body. Next, the procedure is mentioned. Brahma continued, "How can one appreciate the real nature of a rope lying before him until he refutes the illusion that it is a snake? In the Vedas, it is said, Asango yam purusha. The soul has nothing to do with this body. Thus, the jiva has no bodily suffering. But due to ignorance, the jiva identifies with its body and thus experiences various miseries. Without rejecting everything related to the body, one can realize his spiritual. Without rejecting everything related to the body, can one realize his spiritual identity just by cultivating transcendental knowledge? No. One cannot know the soul without rejecting all attachments to the material body." Verse 29. Oh, this is a very famous verse also. So you can all say this with me because it's such an important one. Atapite deva padambo jadvaya prasadaleshanu grihita evahi janati tattvam bhagavan mahimno nachanya eko pichirang vichinvan. My Lord, if one is favored by even a slight trace of the mercy of your lotus feet, he can understand the greatness of your personality. But those who speculate to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead are unable to know you, even though they continue to study the Vedas for many years. So it's only by being favored, even by a slight trace of the mercy of the Lord's lotus feet, that one can understand the greatness of the Lord. Studying the Vedas for many years is useless without mercy. Commentary. Brahma prayed, "Only by Krishna Bhakti is it possible for the living entity who has discarded his material coverings to realize the bliss of Brahman. Being blessed with a particle of mercy from your lotus feet, he can understand the greatness of your personality." Matsya Avatar says, "Madhya mahimanam cha parang brahmeti shabditam." Advised and favored by me, you will know everything about my glories, which are known as Parabrahma, because they will manifest within your heart. That's Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 8:24-38. Sridhar Swami explains this verse as follows. By Krishna's mercy, one can know the Supreme Brahman. To obtain a particle of the Lord's mercy means that the Jnani performed mixed devotional service previously. The Lord bestows the mercy of Bhakti Yoga to that Jnani who, giving up avidya and vidya, accepts pure bhakti. However, one who gives up bhakti in preference to Gyan and enthusiastically pursues Brahman, though he is a guru for thousands of Jnanis, studies scriptures, and practices yoga for a long time, that person will never know the true nature of the Lord. Oh, and this is also a very famous verse. Tarastu me nata sabhuri bhago Bhavetra vanyatra tuvatirascham Inaham ekopi bhavajjananam Bhutva nisheve tava parapallavam. My dear Lord, I therefore pray to be so fortunate that in this life as Lord Brahma or in another life, wherever I take my birth, I may be counted as one of your devotees. I pray that wherever I may be, even among the animal species, I can engage in devotional service to your lotus feet. Commentary. Krishna said, "O Brahma, crushed jewel of all knowers of sadhana and sadhya, what is your desire after describing Gyan and Bhakti in your prayers? Consider carefully, Brahma, and pray for the most valuable thing. Indicating himself as a servant, Brahma replies to Sri Krishna, "O Master, O Nath, yes, I have discerned the most auspicious thing of all, Bhuri Bhaga. Whether I get a high birth as Lord Brahma, or a low birth as a deer, for many births with no chance for liberation, since I will lose the opportunity to attain bhakti, I pray to take birth as one of your devotees, either advanced or neophyte." Wait. I didn't get, whether I get a high birth as Lord Brahma, or low birth as a deer, for many births with no chance for liberation. Okay. The following is an outline of Brahma's prayers. In the first verse of this chapter, Brahma expressed the excellence of the Lord's sweetness. And the second and 13th verses, praising the Lord's power, Brahma exhibited a mixture of bhakti and gyan. Okay, in the second and 30th verses. In the third verse, Gyani Prayasam, he concludes that bhakti is superior. In the 8th verse, he shows the supremacy of Kevala Bhakti to Krishna. In the 19th and 27th verses, he derides Kevala Gyan. In the 4th and 5th verses, Brahma shows the uselessness of Kevala Gyan and the success of Kevala Bhakti. In the 28th and 29th verses, he discusses Gyan mixed with Bhakti. In the 24th verse, he discusses Shanta Bhakti. And in the 30th verse, he discusses Dasya Bhakti. From the 31st verse, Brahma, having submerged in the ocean of Krishna's sweetness, praises the devotees immersed in Vatsalya Rag, parental love, and other intimate relationships with the Lord. That's verse 31st. Oh, that's this verse that we're starting with now. What time is it? 9:10. Okay, so for another 10 minutes. Or 5 minutes. Let's read for another 5 minutes. They're already starting out prasad, so I don't want to miss that. Ahoti dhanya vrajagoramanya stanyamrita pitam ativate muda yasam vibho vatsaranatmajatmana yat triptaye dyapi nachalam advara yat triptaye dyapi nachalam advara. O Almighty Lord, how greatly fortunate are the cows and ladies of Vrindavan, the nectar of whose breast milk you have happily drunk to your full satisfaction, taking the form of their calves and children. All the Vedic sacrifices performed from time immemorial up to the present day have not given you as much satisfaction. It's a beautiful verse. All the Vedic sacrifices performed from time immemorial up to the present day have not given you as much satisfaction as the breast milk of the cows and the ladies of Vrindavan that you happily drunk to your full satisfaction. It's such a sweet verse. Commentary. Brahma prayed, "Though totally unqualified, I have prayed to become your devotee. If you wish, you may fulfill it. Certainly, it is not proper for me to pray to attain the elevated stage of your devotees engaged in the spontaneous attraction of Vatsalya Bhav and other moods. I can only praise them." This is expressed in 2 verses. Brahma prayed, "The cows and gopis of Vraj are supremely fortunate." The word aho expresses extreme surprise. "You, with your transcendental body full of eternal bliss and knowledge, have taken the form of the cowherd boys and the calves to drink the nectarian milk from their mothers' breasts with extreme bliss. With each mouthful, you experienced ever-increasing bliss. In your form as calves, you could not even tolerate the time it took to milk the cows. Without taking the form of the cowherd boys, it would have not been possible to drink the milk of so many different mothers. O powerful one, Vibho, You took many forms out of extreme greed to drink. You could not even miss the nectar from one breast. Since they gave you such bliss, there is no doubt that the bodies of the cows and mothers were transcendental, full of eternal knowledge and bliss. All the Vedic sacrifices performed by myself, Shiva, and others from time immemorial up to the present day with perfect actions and mantra chanting have not given you as much satisfaction. And this is another very famous verse. Really special verse, this one. Aho bhagyam, nanda gopa vrajo kasam, yan mitrang paramanandam, purna brahma sanatanam. And is the next verse Nanda Kimakarud Brahma? No. Okay. How greatly fortunate are Nanda Maharaj, the cowherd men, and all the other inhabitants of Rajabhumi. There is no limit to their good fortune, because the absolute truth, the source of transcendental bliss, the eternal supreme Brahman, has become their friend. Okay, and we'll end with this commentary. After praising the Ragatmika Vatsalya Prem, the deep spontaneous parental affection of the Vrajavasis, Brahma glorified those with Ragatmika Sakya Prem, Mitram, and all those relishing intimate relationships with the Lord. The neuter case is used instead of the masculine case as a matter of traditional usage. The word Anandam indicates Brahman as described in Brihad Aranakya Upanishad 3.934. Satyam Vijnanam Ananda Brahma. The supreme reality is divine knowledge and bliss. The word Parama is used with it to indicate that Krishna is the basis of Brahman. The word Purnam indicates that Sri Krishna is distinct from the avatar forms who are also Brahma Swarup. Krishna is the friend, but not a temporary friend. Krishna is the eternal friend of Sri Dhamma and others. From this eternal friendship, it is also understood that Sri Dhamma and others are also eternal. If I make a statement, he is an excellent Brahman because his Brahminical qualities are excellent, then the person's excellence is also understood. Similarly, in speaking of the eternality of Krishna's friendship, the friends are also understood to be eternal. This must be explained since the word mitra connotes simply an ordinary friend. All the inhabitants of Vrindavan ruled by Nanda Maharaj, Nanda Gopa Vrajokasam, down to the birds and beasts were fortunate. What then to speak of Nanda himself and his cowherdmen? Who can describe the fortune of those who became the friend of Paramananda Brahma Sanatanam? It is indescribable. The Gopas themselves say, "O Nanda, everyone in Vraj has uncontrollable attraction to your son, and he has natural affection for us. What is the cause? That's Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 10:26-13. The cause is that Krishna is Purna Brahma, the complete absolute truth. Therefore, the inhabitants of Vraj give the topmost bliss to Krishna and receive the topmost bliss in return. Witnessing this exchange of love, Lord Brahma repeats the phrase Aho Bhagyam twice to indicate his extreme bliss and astonishment. All right, so we will read the rest of this chapter tomorrow. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol. Jai Shri Guru Gauranga Gandharvika Giridhari Shri Shri Radha Vinod Bihari Ju Ki Jai. Shri Govinda Gopinath Maran Mohan Ju Ki Jai. Nitil Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashtatara Shata Shishimar Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Shri Gurudev Ki Jai. Nitil Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashtatara Shata Shishimar Bhakti Vedanta Vaman Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Nitil Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashtatara Shata Shishimar Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nitil Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashtatara Shata Shishimar Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Nitil Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashtatara Shata Shishimar Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nitil Pravishta Maha-Bhagavat Shila Goksharas Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Nitil Pravishta Shila Satchitaranda Bhakti Vinod Ṭhākura Ki Jai. Nitil Pravishta Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Shila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Shri Rupanu Gauriya Guru Varga Ki Jai. Shri Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath. Shri Jiva Gopal Bhatta Das Raghunath Sharda Gosai Prabhu Ki Jai. Shri Sarup Damodar Rai Ramanantari Shri Gaur Parshad Vrinda Ki Jai. Namachay Shri Haridas Ṭhākura Ki Jai. Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda. Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Kshetra Mandala Gaura Mandala Vraja Mandala Mathura Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Sarva Abhishta Pradata Giriraj Maharaj Ki Jai. Shri Radha Kun Shama Kun Yamuna Ganga Tulsi Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Samagata Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo. Grantaraj Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam Ki Jai. Shri Viśvanātha Cakravartī Ṭhākura Ki Jai. Shri Brahmā Stuti Ki Jai. Sārārtha-darśinī Vritti Ki Jai. Shri Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo. Vrindai Tulsi Devai Priyai Keshavashachar Krishna Bhakti Pradadevi Satyavataya Namo Namaha Vansha Kalpadurubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyai Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Dandavat pranams everybody. So we didn't get as far as I was hoping to, and that's because I read 22 verses at the beginning and the translations were long, and so it ended up taking longer than I expected. Anyhow, so we might not be able to finish the chapter tomorrow. We'll see. If you guys don't mind me going a little bit over time, then I can finish. Let me know. And I'll see you all tomorrow. Jai Shri Radhe.